everyone to today's podcast. Now, this is the wrap up for the month of November. Honestly, that seems absolutely crazy to me. Like Christmas is every time, same time every year, but we seem to get to these, I don't know, it seems like after September, just boom, it goes. And I'm sure it's not just me. So this month, we've had a wonderful three different voices talking about leadership. And, this is something that I'm very passionate about. Even in my own leadership style has certainly changed over the last 3 decades, but even the leadership style of my clients and those that were once, young guys and girls, those 30 years ago, picking up glasses and seeing their journeys develop into those leadership roles has been very, very interesting. So I wanted to have a conversation as a wrap up over the three speakers that we've had for the month of November, but also my thoughts when it comes to what I hear of so often is I want to step back, Michelle. I want to think of more things that are strategic, but that means I've got to be handing over projects, and I don't know whether my team is ready for that. Because what I hear too often is, you know what, mistakes are going to be made. It's just easier for me just to do it. I'll just do it at home, take on this extra workload. But what I say more and more is that when we don't delegate, and now that's not abdicating responsibility. If we don't delegate, we're not giving somebody else the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to develop their own career. So to me, it is absolutely key that we do offer them this opportunity to learn and grow. And honestly, I get it because I know even myself at times I've struggled with handing things over. And, in the very early days of having EAs, and even when Sarah first came on, actually, it was really easy with Sarah, I'll be honest, because we met on the twin server who's on the Central Coast, which for my overseas visitors is a massive highway that goes between Sydney and an area about 2 hours north of Sydney. And I just met her and said, well, here's everything you need to do. If you need anything, just ask questions. Because I was actually flying out to Scotland for 6 weeks because my daughter was actually in the world titles for Scottish Highland dancing. And I just trusted Sarah, even though I'd only spent a very short period of time with her. I knew she could do it. And it wasn't until years later that she said, I was actually, really stressed because you were just handing me over the reins of your business and you believed in me so much. And I did. And I always feel that trust. Sure, there was all those conversations about how I do it, but you know what? I think after all these years, and it's been 14 years that we've just celebrated together, Sarah and I, a couple of blimps there with, the good old COVID, as well as her going out and trying life in the childcare world and then coming back into her role as EA. I think, to be quite honest, Sarah keeps me in check because I am just so used to her and knowing that she is extremely capable and even more knowledgeable than me. But it's taken that time. And so it's about what makes us successful, to be quite honest, whether it's somebody like me who is a business owner or to yourselves that are senior leadership. But if we don't allow um, to transfer the skill, to trust people to take it on, it really can stop your business from ever being scalable. So today I want to show you how to step back without losing that control, how to lead with clarity, confidence and calm, and how leaders I've interviewed recently actually model this beautifully. So we're talking about Sophie Pavior, who was absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, she is a leading light in our industry. Mark Condi, who I've known for many years, who's come out of the Duxton pubs. He's a CEO there in South Australia. And Chris Miller, who has a very interesting role on strategies, but also what happens with risk and how can we avert that risk in businesses. So they are three very different voices, three very different roles, but each showing us something about scalable leadership. So let's settle in and explore what it really takes to lead a growing team without being the one holding everything together with sheer willpower. So your job isn't about controlling people, it's to create clarity. So when leaders tell me they can't step back, what they usually mean is my team won't get it right, they won't make good decisions, I'll end up fixing it anyway, it's just going to take too much longer. And the truth is, that's not a people problem, that's a clarity problem. It's what you're sharing with them. So people can't meet expectations that aren't clear. They can't deliver consistency if you haven't defined what consistency looks like. And they won't take ownership if you're holding all the decision-making power. This is where Chris Miller's work on risk and resilience is gold. One of the things that Chris said in her episode really stuck with me. She talked about frontline staff and often spotting the risks and opportunities long before senior managers, leadership do so, because they're there on the ground, boots and all. And she's right. They see the cracks, they see the friction, they hear the offhand comments from guests, and they know what slows them down, what confuses them, and what motivates them. So if your clarity only exists in your head, your team can't possibly deliver on that. And this is where leaders get trapped. They think stepping back means letting go, but it actually means letting people in. Letting people into your thinking, letting them understand your vision, letting them understand the values behind each decision, letting them contribute to how the business evolves is so critical. Clarity builds confidence for both you and your team. So here's a little framework I share with my middle management movement participants. This is a program that I have for middle managers. There's quite a different number of suite of programs within it, but it's about delivering a program for those that are just stepping into the role of middle management or have been there for a considerable amount of time, and also includes senior leadership. It's clarity equals vision plus behaviors plus boundaries. Oh my gosh, boundaries is so important. So it's clarity equals vision plus behaviors plus boundaries. If those four things are clear, you can step back and trust the work will still be done to your standard. Vision tells people where we're heading. The values tells them how we act while we're heading there. Behaviors make it observable, so there's no guesswork. And the boundaries make it safe. They tell people where not to cross. When you nail these, you don't need to oversee any action. Your team knows the why, the what, and the how. And this becomes the foundation of stepping back without fear. So then we move on to Sophie. Now, if you want a business that runs without you, you must grow people who run the business. Clarity is that first piece. The second piece is capability, growing leaders at every level. I talk about this constantly. Your business can only scale as fast as your people can grow. Which brings me to Sophie. Her episode was just so enlightening. When Sophie joined me on the show, what blew me away was how quickly she climbed in a very short period of time, how confidently she navigated new environments, and how deeply she understood the importance of communicating across teams. But here's the real reason, and the real lessons that Sophie's journey teaches CEOs. Capability grows when leaders trust people to stretch. Think about it. She was given real responsibility very early. She was expected to present to senior leadership. She rotated throughout operations, sales, production, product, the whole kit and caboodle. And every step demanded that she build confidence, competence, and critical thinking. She just didn't grow because someone micromanaged her. She grew because someone said, "You're capable, show us what you can do." That is scalable leadership. It's what I say to CEOs all the time. You're not building followers, you are building leaders. And leaders only grow through supported stretch, not just being left on their own, not protection, not overhelping, not hovering, but growing through that stretch in their capabilities, but knowing that you're there to support them. But here's the trap. A lot of leaders delegate tasks, but never delegate thinking. They'll say, do this, this, and this, but they don't hand over the why. or the decision making or the accountability. Engagement is not, I give you work. Empowerment is, I trust your judgment, go and run with it. Sure, they may make mistakes, but it's not the end of the world. Well, depending on what you do, but it won't be the end of the world. But that's how we learn. But it's also they may have a way that is even better than what you're doing at the moment. So you've got to trust them. And this is exactly where Sophie's story integrates so beautifully. She didn't just do tasks, she learned to make the decisions, to problem solve, and to communicate and lead to others. So here's a takeaway for you. If you want to step back, your main job is to grow thinkers and not doers. Grow confident decision makers, not order takers, and grow leaders, not followers. This is where middle management shines, because the greatest blocker in most organizations isn't the front line. It's the middle, not just the messy middle. It's the middle, the bottleneck and the breakthrough point. When your middle managers grow, the entire business becomes scalable. And then our third guest was Mark Condi, systems that protect your standards. Now, the final piece of this puzzle is systems. As I said, we talked about this with Mark, because if there's anyone who understands the power of systems at scale, it is Mark. When Mark took the reins at Duxton Pubs, the group had grown quickly, and like many multi-venue organizations, each pub was doing things differently. Different systems, different processes, different ways of working. If you're a CEO listening to this, you'll know what that feels like. You're constantly putting out fires because consistency isn't embedded. And that is so important. But what Mark did, and did brilliantly, was introduce systems that created shared standards without stripping each venue of its personality. And when you listen to his episode, it's so true. He talks about how each venue embodies what that venue means to that community. 7 rooms, review tracker, unified accommodation systems, consistent reporting, clear operational rhythms. These weren't tools for control, they were tools for empowerment. Mark didn't step back from leadership, he just stepped back into the right level of leadership. He moved from fixing to enabling, from supervising to architecting, from how do I hold this together into how do I set people up to do their best work. This is the heart of scalable leadership. Systems protect your standards so your people can focus on service, innovation, and community. And as you heard in Mark's story about the Alma Tavern, systems didn't replace connection. They enhanced it. They allowed the team to personalize the experience, anticipate their needs, recognize regulars, and deliver that beautiful surprise and delight philosophy. Because information was shared, accessible, and consistent. That's what stepping back looks like when it's done well. You're not stepping back from the business, you're stepping back from the chaos and stepping into clarity, capability, and structure. So let's bring it all together. Let's wrap this session up. So when CEOs tell me they can't step back, it's really about control. It's about fear of inconsistency, fear of mistakes, fear of losing perhaps even the reputation, not only their own, but the reputation of the business and that brand. But today we've looked at the solution. Replace control with clarity. Your team can only deliver what they understand. Replace doing with developing. Your success depends on how well you grow leaders. And replace firefighting with systems. Standards shouldn't live in your head. They should live in your processes. I'm forever saying that. Create systems, create process. And the pushback I get is, oh, Michelle, it takes time. Yes, I know it takes time. But once they're done once, they're easy to replicate. You just pass them out instead of going back and putting out fires and answering the same questions multiple times. So Sophie showed us the power of investing in future leaders. That is a true investment. Mark showed us how systems create stability and scale. And Chris reminded us that clarity, communication, and inclusion keep organizations resilient and future ready. This is how you step back without losing control. And honestly, it's how you reclaim the joy of leadership. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure you like this video. It's really important. If you can, subscribe to it would be wonderful. Leave us a review would even be greater because we're starting to gain. We're getting 7,000 views and that's growing every week, which is fantastic. And I really thank you for that. I look forward to you joining me next week, first week of December. Crazy, where we step back into the world of clubs and community with Natalie Hawkins from Cronulla RSL Club. It's an absolute beautiful episode. It's an episode that you definitely don't want to miss. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to you joining me next week. Bye.